Hey all, so Dikran and I here, we get paid to write screenplays.
Getting there wasn't easy. We spent many years working brutal Hollywood day jobs, running together on nights and weekends, praying that one day it would all pay off. And then
We sold a screenplay. It was a solid enough payday that we kind of quit our awful day jobs. The movie was fast-tracked into production. We were preparing to spend the summer in Brazil on the set of our own movie. It was like all of our dreams were coming true.
And then came a devastating 1-2 punch. The Brazilian movie, the investors were made off. The money was gone, and we weren't alone. Indie film financing all but dried up in the wake of the economic collapse. And it got worse. Our union, the Writers Guild, decided to go on strike right around the same time.
Yeah, and so to top this off, the studios, our friends, used the whole mess to completely remake the way they do business. Basically, they're now making about half as many movies as they were pre-strike. Really putting it to us. Screenwriting jobs are few and far between. They're much less lucrative, the whole 9 yards. And to make matters worse, there's almost zero market now for original ideas.
Hollywood only wants to bet on the established, the bankable. There are basically only two ways to sell a script nowadays. You can either base it on established intellectual property, or you can get a major movie star or director attached.
The issue is, like, the list of names that move the needle is alarmingly short, and basically everyone in Hollywood is dogfighting to get a hold of these people, right? So being a pair of relative newbies, it was really hard to get anyone to give a damn about what we were writing, so we had to do something like big, bold, and interesting to get anyone's attention.
We had to start thinking less like artists and more like entrepreneurs. So we got to thinking, maybe we could trick Hollywood into buying one of our script ideas if we first turned it into a piece of intellectual property on which to base it. If Hollywood wanted IP, then that's what we'd give them.
What we were really doing, it turns out, was we were taking the lean startup approach to selling a movie, right? So we set out to test a new idea using the least amount of resources. The logic basically was comic books cost money to produce, novels take time to write, a short story, we could do that.
Time was a big factor. It can take 6 months or more to get a script out to market. We figured we could do a short story much quicker, and we were right. Our first effort, Thief Coach, was out to publishers less than a month after we started writing.
We also figured it was a lot easier to get somebody to read, an actor or a director to read a 30-page short story as opposed to a 120-page screenplay. The idea was basically to bring, a package with the best of both worlds. A great piece of IP, a great actor. We knew we could sell that, even in this market.
We learned from experience in Hollywood that the key to a good pitch is giving the buyer just enough. Just enough so they want to know more, but never so much that you give them a reason to say no. It's a delicate balance, but one we try to achieve in our short story.
Yeah, we weren't producing a precious piece of standalone art here. This needed to be fun, breezy, easy to read movie pitch. Like, we would set up the world, we would give a nice, rich sketch of our character. We'd give the reader a good idea of what the movie could be without sort of telling them what it absolutely had to be.
We imagine our story, Thief Coach, as a vehicle for our favorite actor, Robert De Niro. In it, an old master thief turns a group of rough and tumble kids into men by teaching them the art of his craft. It was part heist movie, part Karate Kid.
Yeah, and so Thief Coach was very quickly published by Mulholland Books. It was well received, it got us some attention, but it didn't sell. It turns out we were very much ahead of our time in Hollywood. Nobody knew what to do with a short story. Our agents, managers were befuddled. It looked like a failed experiment. And then a year later,
we had gone back to writing another spec screenplay. This one didn't sell either at the time, but it did get us meetings all over town. And when you go on these meetings, you're always asked, what else you got? Typically, we talk about an idea or two we've been noodling on, but this time we had something better. This time we had Thief Coach, and this time it worked.
Yeah, major stars, hotshot directors, people that wouldn't touch us with the 10-foot pole before. They all wanted a piece of Thief Coach. They were all begging for it. And eventually, the man we wrote the short story for, Robert De Niro, stepped up, said, I want to do this. And that just doesn't happen to writers not named Tarantino.
And then along came Justin Lin, the hottest director in town, off the success of Fast and Furious 6. Every studio in town wanted his next movie, and he wanted to do ours. So we sold the story to him and discovered an additional benefit to story versus screenplay.
You get paid twice. Lin had to pay us to write the film script, but he also had to pay for the IP. And it gets better than that. If your original screenplay doesn't get made, they get to keep it. But if they don't make the movie based on your IP, it comes back to you and you can sell it again and again and again and again.
The experience opened a lot of new doors for us, led to new gigs. Most importantly, it pushed us to continue this approach. We've written and published and set up 2 more short stories since. The most recent, a sci-fi epic called Botany Bay, is being developed into a TV series with director F. Gary Gray, hot off of Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, and so now that we've proven that this isn't a one-hit wonder sort of situation, we've worked on expanding the model. We've started a business with a bunch of other writers. We're generating IP, short stories, comic books, screenplays, with the idea of setting them up as movies.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.